Hey folks, this is Ben Gussel. I might make a video later on tonight, but this one's going to be kind of short, somewhat. That's the idea in general. So, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I do like to kind of, um, as much as I say I don't like this stuff, sometimes I like to kind of just dabble a little bit in pop culture stuff, aka talk shows like the Jimmy Kimmel talk show on YouTube. Just sometimes, not all that often. And YouTube, I'd appreciate YouTube if you would stop always suggesting things to me that I'm not always wanting to see every single day that I watch YouTube. Anyway, the reason I mentioned this is, well, at least one reason is because if you guys, how can I put this? I'm gonna compare Jimmy Kimmel's show. No offense to Jimmy Kimmel, because I've known about Jimmy Kimmel ever since he had the show with Adam Carolla, um, Man Talk or something. Or it was about sex and stuff. Anyway, this is way back in the '90s, late '90s, whatever. So not just sex, but it was pretty off color. So it was a man show. The man show. So I'm gonna compare Jimmy Kimmel's show with Zach Galifianakis's Between Two Ferns. Now, Jimmy Kimmel, I don't know, Jimmy Fallon, and, I don't know, a number of other folks, well, at least some, it's often accused of being very pop culture, very just, whatever, after the cheap laughs, or whatever. He kind of knows what's very appealing to younger folks, 20 somethings, and what is very just um, absorbable and likable by the majority of Americans. In that kind of just Jimmy Kimmel, oh shucks, everybody's happy, right? Kind of way. And Jimmy Fallon is even more subtly that way, where he seems to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, phrase. Well, anyway. No, again, I don't know these gentlemen personally. I have nothing against them. You see enough of this stuff, and again with Fallon, it's a lot less obvious. But you start getting this feeling of I don't know, this emptiness, and I know this kind of emptiness I'm talking about. It's an emptiness that is a very different kind of feeling than the kind of feeling that you tend to get when you're talking with someone who is in a good mood and they think well of you and they themselves are trying to be a good person and you think well of them as well. And most of the time, anytime when you have most anybody, just being themselves in real life, so many times, like when it just is kind of like, oh, that person's awesome. Now, they're not perfect. They're often far from perfect, right? Or you say, I miss this person. I remember this person. And this person wasn't always the most amazing person, maybe in your own mind, at least at the time. But you look back on them, whoever it was, and you say, oh man, I miss that person. This is a funny thing. This is the funniest thing. And we spend so much time sometimes, or at least we spend a little bit of time, doing things like watching the Jimmy Fallon show, the Jimmy Kimmel show, or what's some other show, and we say, "Oh, the person's so funny. Oh, what would I do if I was a talk show host?" Actually, hopefully that next question is a bit more, substantial, productive, maybe, right? At least it's good to brainstorm, right? But just kind of the Conan O'Brien is the smart one. Jay Leno, he totally burned him. Oh, whatever happened to Craig Ferguson? Stephen Colbert, he makes fun of conservatives. and so on and so forth. Oh, those guys are so funny. You know, I mean, it's just low hanging fruit. There's times when you just go, oh, that's just a look. If it's about Donald Trump or any president, a lot of presidents, right? Bill Clinton, or whatever. Yeah, we've all heard it. Why do you need to? You know what I'm talking about. And then all the stupid, really just banal, brain dead it means, right? They just no, it's anything but highbrow. It's anything but sophisticated. So I'm picking on these guys a bit. It really isn't them. I think, in all reality, both those guys are decent guys, right? I don't know. They're not bad guys. Some people think, I don't know. But I don't know. Bad's I don't know. It's a very oversimplification here, but basically, and I was going to compare the shows with Between Two Ferns. Well, Zach Galifianakis is sharp as a whip, man. Just he's just as sharp as a needle. It's just a needle that could. Yeah. Anyway, you see what I'm saying, right? He is quick. He is smart. That show is amazing. It's just amazing. I can't say it's one of the funniest shows I've ever seen in my entire life. Between Two Ferns, because if I went on there, I could look at it. Yeah, I mean, sure. How can I put this? It's like it's one of those shows where Zach would make fun of me to no end, but he'd do it in a way that I know he loved me, and he wouldn't. You know what I mean? And he just kind of knows what to say, and it's going to be awkward, but it's completely different than going on the Howard Stern show, where Howard Stern is also not a mean guy, but he's just okay, sex, right? At least in the past was that Zach Galifianakis just knows. He just knows. He knows. Anyway. Anyway, and it's because of Zach's insights into people, and most importantly, because it's like this relief of Hollywood not taking themselves so seriously, right? When you cannot laugh at yourself, when you can't, and when you have these sacred cows in Hollywood, and when you have shows like Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, it just kind of echo pop culture, but they don't ever have anything as original. That kind of stuff is just, it's lampooned on Zach. Zach has nothing against Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel, but that's the kind of stuff that's lampooned on Between Two Ferns. It's made fun of. Zach makes fun of that stuff. I think other actors and actresses largely are on board of that stuff, because it's just, sure. I mean, we know what it is. We have some more or less familiarity with pop culture in the United States, probably worldwide too. We have some awareness of what that is, and why not just make light of it, of all its stupid sacred cow crap? I'm not talking about the Illuminati stuff, right? That's a different subject somewhat, but it's associated with it. But yeah, I am kind of, but in a way I'm kind of not. But I just, like, and my other train of thought was, feeling that emptiness when you watch that show is an indication that, and that was just for a little bit of time, just like a half hour. I don't know, it wasn't all that long. And now I think about there's people in the world that consume these tabloid magazines, all the time. They buy them, they read them. If it's available somewhere they go, they read them. They're following every little thing about everybody's um, dating life in Hollywood, and uh, some of that is probably not all that unproductive, or you know, and sometimes it can turn into kind of a strong point for some folks. Something that isn't well, it can be something to be proud of in a way, if depending on what it is that someone learns about more, I suppose. But it's kind of like this rabbit hole, this obsession with pop culture. If anyone becomes obsessed with it, and the question is, how do you get out of that rabbit hole? When you start going down this rabbit hole of popularity, and you see that the farther you go, the more sacrifices you make to become ever more popular. It's always been that way, by the way. It's always been that way ever since I can remember, even within my own little sphere of school and high school, and a lot of other places. If you act a certain way, if you you know this, right? And it varies, depends on where you live, depends on your age, depends on your experiences, culture. And what I'm trying to say is that it's never been healthy. And you even feel that hollowness, that shallowness when you see celebrities reading mean tweets. So that was what I saw. It wasn't the actual show so much. It was celebrities reading mean tweets. And I got to say this also. I've been kind of tough on both Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel a little bit. But in all honesty, Jimmy Kimmel's show is entertaining. It's fun. Jimmy Fallon is also pretty similar. Both their shows are actually pretty fun to watch. I kid you not. And I'm kind of mentioning them because, again, they just seem to kind of echo pop culture a little bit too much. But they do it in a way that's very entertaining. Admittedly. Well, otherwise you wouldn't watch their shows as much, right? So it's not them. It's just that you feel that pop culture element. You might feel it even more around someone like Ellen DeGeneres, right? Or Oprah Winfrey or something. For the ladies, like lady shows or whatever. I don't know. And I don't really watch that. I'm familiar with those shows, right? I'm not completely oblivious to this stuff, but it's a question of how much you're watching of it, and if it's taking over your life, and if it's just leading to kind of a hollow feeling or not, or a hollower feeling. Because at the end of the day, it's like, so there are things that bring life meaning, and there are things that take away from the meaning of life, and it's just a lot. You can go back to that one scene in Taxi, if you guys remember the show Taxi, where there's this character that invites all the other guys, his coworkers, into his house, and he's got tons of TVs, and they're all playing different. They're all on different channels. He's like, I have the ultimate setup right here, and I can watch anything I want to, or something like that. And then I think Tony Danza's. I mean, the whole Taxi gang's there. Tony Danza. I don't know if the boss Danny DeVito's there, but everybody else, right? And they all really nice to them. That's really cool. And that's and then they just kind of slowly walk out of the room, and he's just watching TV. And then it kind of fades, and that's the end of the show. And then there's this kind of feeling of, oh, huh. I remember thinking to myself, I saw that episode when I was, I don't know, 11 or 12 or something like that. I remember very vividly. I thought to myself, so this is what happens when a person watches too much TV in their life. Or they just watch too much stuff that isn't very meaningful. Doesn't really add much meaning to life. And they also let it take over everything else that they're doing in their life. They have a feeling, this hollow feeling, right? And not even exaggerating. I'm gonna end this soon. I'm gonna walk here for a bit. But Jimmy Fallon. Now, I don't know about Kimmel, but Jimmy Fallon, you know, I've heard, oh, this is a pop oriented video, so I got to say something, got to have some pop gossip, right? Pop culture gossip. So I don't know. A while back, he might have had some trouble with alcohol. I think the reason why he probably had trouble with alcohol probably has something to do with the fact that, well, you know what I'm saying, right? Pop culture, Hollywood culture. Why would anybody start drinking a whole lot in Hollywood? It's not a very wholesome place. It's shallow. It's, I mean, it's, the shallowness comes from the wickedness. It comes from the worldliness, right? It comes from the fakeness, right? You've heard Jim Carrey's rich man's laugh versus poor man's laugh. Well, there's a laugh that's very fake, and everybody accuses Fallon of it. Because, yeah, and it's hard to notice, but you can kind of tell. He's got his shtick. It works. At the end of the day, he's got, I think he's recovered. I think he's doing better now. But back then, when he was probably drinking too much alcohol, he's probably just like, my life, you know? And it was probably just, how evil, whatever evils that were going on in his life were getting to him. He's trying to forget his sorrows by alcohol, right? Man, and I'm like, it's not about the people that become obsessed with this stuff. It's about, I guess, this is also for me, it's just we have to keep trying to fill our lives with meaningful things, meaningful people, and meaning, and moving forward. And there are things that can hinder that. And if there's anything I guess I want you guys to take away from this is just don't always, I don't know, be aware of that hollow feeling that can come to you when you're watching something, even if it's very entertaining. Because that hollow feeling will come from a place where people are just not really being very for real. And they're just kind of talking about things that don't really matter that much. And they're just being fake on some level. And we say there are actors and actresses that are are they're not that way so much. That they're very very much themselves. Or they're very you get a better feeling when you hear them. Okay, yep, sure. That's also noteworthy. But we all need to kind of still remember to fill our lives with good things, right? And someone could ask me, "Is this just in my own mind? Is this just something that's just I only feel and nobody else can?" And I would say to that, no, I'm pretty sure other people can feel that fakery as well. And people that continue that fakery, they probably hate themselves for it. Yeah. All right. Leave me thoughts and comments below. Catch us later. Take care. Bye.